Greetings, fellow psychonauts. Saroth the Mage recording here at the Magic Cottage. We did our summer solstice magic and it was extremely magical. With this video, I tried to upload one earlier on and it's taken all day. It's almost like the powers of initiation don't want us to tell, to know, to will, to dare, and to stay silent. So I'm not going to give it all away. I was given the key to all the great occult secrets in our universe. I was in an exalted state of consciousness. The trip had three stages it had. The first was, from my normal state of being, I came here single-mindedly dedicated to achieving some kind of psychedelic catharsis. I've been doing my Theodicus air rituals religiously, and on the day that I travelled up, I did my Theodicus rituals, and then we did Thosis rituals, where one of us purifies with a special stuff we call lotus water. Recipe a secret. And then we use incense to consecrate, so we go down the temple purifying, consecrating. We then do the Thosis one that I told you about, where we're vibrating and kind of joining and melding our frequencies into one androgynine being. The art card that I was reading before I went into the trip, in fact everything leading up to the trip, took on just the most tremendous significance. And having those 2 or 3 systems that I've got now, I've got the sort of Jungian, Jordan Peterson sort of individuation route. I've got the Kabbalistic self-transformation route, and I've also got the Leary, Wilson, Prometheus Rising 8 circuit route. And I at first I told you I was going to take a large dose of the sacrament, larger than I'd ever had before. Now sometimes, I don't know if it's different strains of mushroom, but the last time we had McKenna's, and I don't know if it was because they were my first sacrament for a long time, but they really had to drag me kicking and screaming into that other world. But these, it was just so smooth. I had 7 dried grams prepared in a tea, drank it within 15 minutes. I felt it coming on, your extremities get very, very cold, your feet, your hands, your nose. I was wrapped up in many blankets. You saw the temple, I think it was glowing with a beautiful soft light. There was incense furling into the air. Everything took on a beautiful shimmering sort of just, you know, you're in a different, you are in a different dimension of some sorts. It's not just an imaginary dimension, because there are things there that don't necessarily occur to you at all in your everyday consciousness. You seem to be tapped in to that specifically occult realm of angels, demons, strange languages, paradoxes, existence, non-existence, something out of nothing. The thoughts that I was having were just so profound, but when you try and bring them back, that was the whole point. I was wanting to bring it back and tell you guys that I'd figured this out and I'd figured that out, and at the time I thought, oh my god, I have figured it out and I can't wait to tell them. And then I look at my notes and they're kind of just what you'd expect to hear from someone that's just had a major experience on mushrooms. So here's a little bit I wrote before the trip. This was the kind of stuff that I had on my mind before I was into the trip, because I was thinking about the magic of social media, about how the various working magicians and shamans that I've met lately are all putting out on this digital frequency. And then on the trip I was aware of a space where we were all still connected, although I didn't take my phone in. Well, I did voice record, but I put all the Wi-Fi off and stuff, because that would have been distracting. But I still felt absolutely hooked into the shamanic matrix. Ancestor spirits come in, goddesses, gods, no demons this time at all. It was like the last time it was being pulled from purgatory. This time it was like going up in a very smooth escalator. I opened my eyes and I was just in this completely different realm. the curtains that separate the temple from the rest of the house were it was like the high priestess card in the tarot, especially the Thoth tarot, because it's got that same kind of psychedelic you get those what they're called lines of movement, but it was just the deep geometry and the stuff that you're unlocking inside your own DNA. So I had the 7, and after about an hour I thought, okay, but where is the, I want it to be shouting and screaming and raging against the dying of the night. That's the kind of trip I like, where there's work to be done and there's things that are presented to you, shadow work basically. That's my new buzzword. And I did an awful lot of shadow work, and I found out a lot about the shadow. I think it's really the shadow that is the unmanifested holy guardian angel. For those of us who haven't actually made contact with our holy guardian angels, it's the potential, it's the power, it's kind of the thalamic concept of hadit, that infinitely small point where everything is maintained. So you have Newt, who is the perimeter of the circle, and hadit is like the core of being at the centre of it. None of this is going to make much sense, probably. I also got the idea that in that exalted state of consciousness, which I think is called the meta-programming circuit, you can really study the game from outside it. One of the few times where you actually feel elevated enough to look down on the world and see us all as, the human primate that Anton Wilson made a point of his Illuminatus trilogy about talking about the primates. Zan Loren also speaks about the human primates and that human awakening, and that we're not just, the idea of our souls trapped in this hideous thing called matter. There's nothing the matter with matter. The world is fantastic, and especially being out in the nature, it's just fantastic. The blazing sunrises and sunsets, so many magical things happened. Even the day after the experience, you're still very much in the experience. And we go to this very private bit that only we really know about. It's almost where the river meets the sea. And yesterday we were sitting down there, and I was in post-Satori bliss, some post-Samadhi, and Kundalini going on as well. And the very same seal that I saw after the last huge mushroom trip, I thought, what is that weird looking grey rock floating along? Rocks don't float. And it plopped up, and it was Mr. Seal. So that put the seal on it. Seal of Solomon. So yeah, I've written just a few things that I've written. We're really plugged into a digital Akashic record with the internet, and every grimoire, every obscure text, every symbol in the lectures. We can basically do any university course that we want, and it really has opened up the universe. At one time it was the preserve of elites with fancy libraries, and that we are the illuminated ones now, and we're taking the world back. We're taking it back. Let's just see if I've written any sense here. Magic shamanism is all about the network of contacts. You're in contact with spirits, modern and ancient. In cyberspace, time is just a series of numbers, vague markers amongst 10 billion personal experiences. Should we fear technology like the Luddites? Turn back the clock to a pre-industrial revolution age? We just can't. We can't. It's the psychedelic experience is very much a place beyond language. It's where the dominance and hold that language has on us just slips away, and it's also a theoricus practice too. It's called emptying a word of meaning. So you'll pick up this and say vape pen, vape pen, vape pen. Say it enough and long enough and it will stop having any meaning. You think, that's not a vape pen. That same kind of experience happens on the high doses. So at 7 grams, after about an hour, I decided to take another glass with about double that. That was the rocket boost that I needed. Jill appeared through the curtain with the glass, which was still warm. We mixed it with fruit juice, and I had on the music that I always play, and I was just working myself into a shamanic catharsis. I keep saying the word, but it's the only way I could do it, and everything was just bouncing. All the occult concepts that I've been dealing with lately just made so much sense, and it was like, of course, that's it. The shadow is the power behind the throne. If you can see it, it's a signifier and not the thing that's signified. So let's see what we've got here. Myth and archetypes, very, very important. Everything takes on a massive significance when you're on large doses of psilocybin. So you do go on a hero's journey, even if it's just to get out of the trip feeling happy and together and having exercised any sort of negative emotions or bad magical charge, perhaps. So there's a thing about non-binary logic. It's not just black, white, yes or no. Human beings have got the maybe option. So we can always escape from systems that we're caught in just by simple refusal to take part in it. Vast vistas of intelligence. I felt like I was plugged into absolute cosmic awareness, not even Gaian awareness, not even planetary awareness, but cosmic, multiversal awareness. And the need to have structure when you're going into uncharted psychic territory. So the Kabbalah is such a handy frame, a concept, hook. It's like a clothes horse for weird, far out ideas. And because you've got a place to stake them, you can almost like climb up the mountain with these pegs that you stick into the tree of life. I mean, trees are meant to be climbed, right? And the path working I've been doing just now is from the earth to Yesod, the sphere of the moon. Shaddai El Chai. So the Kabbalah gives form to the uncharted darkness. We can hang concepts on it and bootstrap our own consciousness. I also got the idea that these identities that we assumed allow us to negotiate with other beings and spiritual forces without necessarily risking the real person that's in here. The Initiatory Force works from the shadow, not the visible persona. And I think that the initiatory force of this massive spiritual awakening that is happening, it's just not happening to Corey Good and Simon Parkes and Kerry Cassidy. It's happening to people like Kalendal and C.W. Chanter and Sam Shadowzone and Rimsey and all these guys who are just genuinely searching for meaning and not afraid to put our faces out there and say, yeah, we're looking, but sometimes we don't know what the hell we're looking for or what we're talking about, but we're going to keep on talking. The all that stuff, the language stuff about the map not being the territory, that seems so significant at the time that we're really not limited by any systems if we can take a peek outside it. We are very chimp-like, especially the misaligned male frequency, as Jill, the very feminist chaos magician, would say. She sees a lot of bad behaviour in us human monkeys with our militarism and our warrior cults and all that kind of stuff. Is the map sign, if it's not the territory, the signified, then the front egoic personality is not the true self. Rather, the true higher genius, higher guardian angel, is the shadow, the unmanifest. And I think this is the power of the Gewesha and the left-hand path, that by summoning these demons, we incorporate the shadows of ourselves back into ourselves. not that difficult to work out. I still deeply believe in this network. I experienced certain members of, and you'll know who I'm talking about. If you think I might be talking about you, then I'm definitely talking about you, because there's certain people that were pretty much ever present, almost guiding me through it, like almost an older brother shaman, shall we say. I was at some points just free floating on these weird, very, very esoteric ideas of transubstantiation. You know that thing that happens with the Catholics and the transubstantiation, yes. And the idea of the sacrifice of the sun at the solstice. And I also got the idea that all the fires and the sacred sites were just humming with an electric power that I was somehow able to harness and poof, send it out, like fire it. You can see I'm still pretty high, and it definitely does get the Kundalini energy moving. And when we can reach right up our spines and bring it out our crown chakra, that is when we get a glimpse of enlightenment. But I really did have some kind of samadhi. The gods were pleased. The second glass, the perfect dose. I let go of all attachments. Jill became a kind of psychopomp, initiating me into the underworld from the other room. I was all this stuff that you seem to do with your hands, and all the time I was talking into the voice recorder. I haven't actually listened to all of it back because it was like 3 or 4 hours long. But I just wanted to bring something back here. The music was, when I put on music, I had the Om chants, and I'd been doing the Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Osiris. I'd been doing that a lot yesterday. I had a beautiful cleansing ritual shower after my tune-in rituals, purification, consecration, and I just felt so focused. I just wasn't going to let the mushrooms push me around this time. So, yeah. Oh, yes, and it was golden teachers we had. And when we boiled them up, Lato was like, wow, look at this. And there was metallic. It looked like, basically, the mushroom mulchy sort of stuff, because we chopped them up in a blender. There was distinctly metallic gold and silver flakes in the mushrooms. Where did they come from? I don't know. Yes, this thing that me and Jill thought we'd invented, this cross between Thoth and Isis. Thoth with the male, you know, he's the occult teacher, he's the guide to mankind, and he's also quite a Luciferian figure, I think. You know, he's passing the information that maybe hasn't been okayed by the top brass, and Isis with her compassion and her femininity. So we thought we'd create this androgyne, and when I was reading about the art card, that was all what it was about as well, the alchemy, and there was so much alchemical symbolism going on during the trip as well. And obviously I went first, so I thought, okay, so Lato's job is to birth this Orphic egg that they talk about in the Seshet Tarot there. So this Thosis, you know, we thought we'd made it up, but what about if it made us up? And it's going to be like some magical current that just erupts from the Nagual, as Carlos Castaneda would say it, into our normal waking lives, like this, like the meteor that fell from heaven that was Lucifer. The shadow is perhaps the vehicle of initiation, for in knowing it, we know the terrible freedom of a god beyond binary good and evil. But chimps and human primates cannot yet embrace the shadow without the demonic forces of progress being loosed upon the world. I think that will probably do it. There was a lot of stuff on that. There might be a part 2 to this one. There was ideas of the anima, the anthropos, the perfected human being, the tension and the in-breath and the out-breath. I think with the Saroth Image channel and the restarting the magic, I'm on a massive out-breath again, but probably soon I'll have to go back into in-breath mode. all becomes the tension of paradox, and then just for a second, all the paradoxes seem to be resolved, and then that was it. That was the moment of catharsis, the reconciliation of opposites. Satori, Samadhi, I did it. So that'll do for now. Love you, Saroth the Mage, over and out.